You're listening to Spark TV, where we bring you daily interviews with real women in business at all stages. I'm your host, Danielle Lewis, and I am so grateful to have you here. Oh my God, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, Alyssa, we don't have many people for round twos on the podcast, but I am so excited to chat to you again because so much has happened since we spoke last.
I know it's unbelievable. So much has got crammed in, and it's like that's why I said to you, I think everything's changed. Let's have a chat again. It's like
It's so Yeah, it's true, but it is like that, isn't it? We were just having, before we hit record, having even that conversation that the world's changing every year in business, things change, you change and evolve, and then life happens to you. So, yeah, so many things that can go on in the span of a year. Now, I'm going to link up our previous episode so that everyone can go back and have a listen to that. But for anyone that hasn't listened to it yet, let's tell everyone very quickly who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name's Elisa. I am an economist turned energy healer. So I work with people to connect to their subconscious part of themselves. Some people call it the soul, to answer some of those deep questions about life. So why do I have these patterns, triggers, fears? Why do I have these persistent health issues? Sometimes, you talk and talk and you go to therapy, but you just can't shift it. So there's actually that part of us called the subconscious that has all the insights, the answers, and the wisdom and the font of healing. And to tap into that, I go through hypnotherapy. And so I take people through essentially guided meditation to sort of like get into that juicy zone. I call it the quantum dimension. And you see some amazing results and some amazing answers to their life's questions, which allows people to move forward in their life. So that's what I do now.
I love it so much. And just, I guess when we covered a lot of that in the last podcast episode, but just to kind of, dive into that a little bit, it is so critical, isn't it? And it's really wild. I'm not, I guess, in the healing or spiritual realm, but very, very woo-woo. But I see it so much in women in business that it's like an invisible force that does just hold them back. And it's actually one of the reasons I stopped sales coaching because I was like, I can tell you what to do, but the problem is you're not doing it. And there's some weird thing going on. There's these blocks that we have that just stop us from moving forward, exactly like you said. So to offer women or anyone the ability to figure out what that is and actually be able to make progress in their life, whatever they're, struggling with, that's incredible.
I know, I love it so much because, we're all intelligent women and men and beings, and we know our fears and triggers and, things holding us back. We can describe it until we're black and blue in the face. We've been to talk
Mm.
therapy, but there's like, you know what you need to do, you know what happens, you need the tools, you know all the things. And the more you're aware of it, the more frustration builds up as well because you're so
Mm.
over the thing. So I call it the great butt wall of China. It's like, you know this, you know this, you know this, but you still do
But
it. But, and sometimes it just takes that. Another approach is to get around your conscious mind and then
mm,
go underneath into the subconscious part of us because that's where the holds sit. And sometimes, and more often than not, when we're in session, the blocks that you have that you're carrying in this life is from a past life. So it's not even your
mm,
fault that you didn't even consciously bring it in. You're just carrying this rando fear of whatever. It's not random because
mm.
in sessions the beautiful explanations that come through it's like mind blowing. You'd never guess what they'd be at. And so when people sort of live that experience of a past life where this issue originated, then they not only get that sense of understanding, but we're also rewiring the mind from behind the scenes so the conscious mind just gets out of the way, right? You don't have to do anything, it's all done, and it's through energy. It doesn't hurt, you don't have to ingest anything, you don't sweat lodge it. It's really effective. And so when
Mm.
people understand, oh, that fear of success or fear of speaking, which is a huge one for women, fear of being seen or heard, guess what? In a past life, you were this person and you were persecuted for saying what you needed to say. And so you've carried this fear of being seen and heard, which is such a woman thing, to be honest. It's
Yes, drives me
you
bananas.
are. I mean, that's not your fault. So when we sort of understand that, we get rid of it. We nip it at the source and then you go, oh, it's gone. And it's like, why didn't I know this earlier? So
Oh, I love it. And so, hypnotherapy, what is actually involved? Is it in person? Can we do this online? Like, how would, if I came to you and I was like, oh my God, I need to sort my shit out, what would that process look like?
hypnotherapy essentially is guided meditation. So using words to take you into an altered state. So right now we're talking to each other in a conscious state, which is there's many levels of consciousness, and right now we're at the sort of the beta level where we're talking, we're focusing, we're problem solving. This is work zone, and that's where the conscious mind is most active. And then if we just simply close our eyes, or if we're doing something relaxing like dancing or listening to music or something that takes us off, we're still aware, but we're
Mm.
in that alpha zone where we're not as, focused and concentrating. That's the next level. The next level is where I work, which is the theta level. And that is the state where your conscious mind quietens down, it like moves out of the way, and then the subconscious part of you can come through. And so when we go through guided meditation, I take you safely through those different levels down to that theta juicy state. And in that state, we explore and we connect with your subconscious part of you. Now, you can
Mm.
do that in person or you can do it online, but there's different levels of depth you can get to. So sometimes people want to quit, I want to quit smoking or something.
Mm.
That's a really simple one. So, or I need to stop eating sugar or whatever it is, right? So that's been quite successful. It's a short, sharp session, about an hour, maybe 2 hours. It can be in person or online. That's fine. I call that pulling a weed out of the garden. One weed. But sometimes you kind of go, I'm really over it. There's a lot of things I actually want to deal with: my relationship, my career, my health,
Mm.
a whole bunch of stuff. And they're all interrelated. So, that's when I do a face to face in person session and we spend pretty much the day, 5 to 7 hours. It could take longer. There's no time limit for this process. And that's the beautiful thing, right? So we take as long as you need to get really deep. And because when we
Mm.
get really deep, we get more answers, we do more clearing, and rather than plucking out a weed one at a time, we remodel your backyard. So it's not
Oh.
for everyone because, it takes a lot of openness to say, you know what, I'm really ready to shift this thing. I really want to know what my true answers are. I really want to connect with my own internal wisdom. And so that's essentially what I do, that type of hypnotherapy, which is quantum hypnosis, which is the QHHT method invented by the great godmother of hypnotherapy, the late Dolores Cannon.
It's incredible. And, you mentioned at the beginning that you were an economist. How did we get from economist to hypnotist?
I know it seems like a wild change, but when I've had, and this has been a process of many years since 2018, pretty much when I left corporate. So,
Mm.
and that was through my own journey of healing. And through that, I realized there were so many things in how I was operating that was not right for me. And it manifested in a health issue. First one was the rheumatoid arthritis. And so that pretty much just blew up my life, as well as leaving corporate, and my relationship blew up, and all the things blow up. And so,
All at the same time.
and sometimes for people like me, I need epic explosion of life so that I would be shaken out of my autopilot. And the autopilot, which many people still live, is the burnout treadmill.
Yeah.
Keep going. It's the full mind driven thing. Forget everything else. It's the go, go, go. And it's out of balance. And then before you know it, you're miserable. You hate your life. You don't know why you're moody. You've got health issues, but you keep going. So
Yeah.
for me, I was lucky I had, I guess, I call it the Hiroshima bomb that just blew up my life in terms of, but that was the start. And so through that, I had healing experiences. I've had teachers. I've had, different journeys to find myself, to understand my own energy systems, and then really align with what I'm here to do in this lifetime. And when I look at what I used to do and what I do now, it's actually not that different. I used to use data, like hard data, to answer questions and analyze systems. Economics are people who look at systems, people, culture, and society, and then answer it for business reasons to make more money, right? I actually am similar. I'm working for a person who comes with a whole bunch of questions, and I use a different data set and a different method to find their answers for them to help
Mm.
transform and help them navigate their life. And the difference now is that I always get like huge heartfelt thank yous for the work that I do with them, whereas I've never received a huge heartfelt thank you for the most amazing analysis I've ever done. No one ever says, "Oh, thank you for the most amazing strategy." Like, has anyone ever said that to you? They're like,
Thank you for making us millions of dollars.
"Thank you for that," though. They don't. They just go, "Oh,
Mm.
you did a mediocre job. I guess I'll give you a 1% pay rise next year. You get to keep your job." It's like, that's the dynamic of what we're all sort of still struggling with. And there's got to be
Mm.
ways. And so I'm lucky I had that moment of my big bomb in my life. Otherwise, I think I'd still be, pushing shit uphill, climbing that ladder that never ends, and wondering why I hate my life.
I know. Why is it though that we do this, that we just tolerate, and then sometimes it is that giant moment of health issue, life issue, some kind of dramatic event that actually is the thing that tells us, okay, lady, time to make some change in our lives.
I think we just weren't aware that there were better ways to do things, better ways.
Yeah.
Just didn't know because, we're of the generation where you work hard, you study hard, you get a good job, you do what you're told, blah, 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 and you follow
Yeah.
the line, you stay in the corporate your career, and da, 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 and da, 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 and then you rise, and da, da. That was what we were told was life. And if
Yes.
you get off that, then what's wrong with you, sort of thing. And so, but there's more to life than that. It's not a linear path, and there's so much variety and color and diversity. Oh my gosh, the word diversity. Um, in approaches and what does success mean? It's also another reevaluation of what does success
Mm.
mean to me in my life, and so if it wasn't for this big moment to like blow me up, I wouldn't pay attention.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people, a health concern is a big wake up moment because they have no choice.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's actually becomes the choice gets taken out of your hands, doesn't it? When it's that kind of a life event. So tell me, what's been going on since we spoke last in the last 12 months?
Reason why we're talking again is because not only did I have one big epic health issue last year, just after you and I spoke, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And
Far out.
out of the blue, and I thought, I've done my big health epic thing. I'm done, right? Because I'm obviously now, I've managed my rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not on any medication. I'm fine. Um, but yes, then,
Wow.
breast cancer came up. And so for me, that was a big shock. But um, by now, I had it wasn't the first epic change in my life. And so I think this time around, I was able to really cruise through it. I mean, some people would look at it and go, oh my God, I'm, the doom thing, like, and go really into the fear. But I immediately knew it was just a moment in time. I literally said the words, this is a moment in time. And I
Wow.
didn't
Yep.
fear around I'm going to die or anything because I know that I've got things I need to do in this life because I spoke to my subconscious part of me. So it helped me navigate, you know, with all that preparation. Now,
Mm.
when I look at why did I get this, and I call it Bobby the Booby, cousin of Ruby.
Excellent. We've got to see the joy in this.
You got to see it, and I had to personify it, and I had to make it a character, and it's just a
Mm.
moment in time. So Ruby, which was rheumatoid, she taught me how to stop and rest and really nurture myself and look after myself and connect with my body. Thank you very much, Ruby. Now Bobby came in a time when I had blocks too. Like, yes, you do all this work and but you still have these blocks that come up. They call them monsters. There could be a money monster, a relationship monster, whatever monster. They come up all the time. You got to keep slaying them because like weeds in the garden, right? So um, I had this couple of monsters coming up, and they were around, I guess, my block of being seen and heard in this new business. Moving
Wow.
from economist and AI and data person and strategy and corporate person, left brain person to like, intuitive, flowing, co-creating, healing, metaphysical person, I had to go through my own great butt walls of China and sort of break through those. But I couldn't.
Wow.
And even though I did a lot of work on subconscious parts, sometimes my mind is so strong, right? It's so strong, it still was holding me back. And I knew, and I was actually operating from the wrong place again. I was falling back to my old place of hustle, do all the things to grow the business, do it the old way.
Mm.
And I was about to drop lots and lots of money on these big grow your business courses and da, da, da. And then I had moments where it's like, no, 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 computer shuts down, my phone shuts down, my calendar wipes. Like technology intervenes and says, no, you're not making any more calls to these sales funnels. You're not, you know everything. But I knew everything, but I still didn't want to, there was that thing. So Bobby came. And when
Wow.
Bobby comes, and Bobby's like a cancer, and Bobby's like, you've got life and death in front of you. I had that immediate going, "Oh, I'm not going to die. I've got shit to do." But it was like, okay, well, what am I waiting for? Like, what am I waiting for? It's one of those morality
Mm.
moments where you go, what are you actually afraid of? If you're not afraid of dying, then why are you afraid of like being seen and heard? So that
Wow.
really shifted almost within 24 hours. I had a shift in my mindset on how I was going to approach the business, but it also meant I'm not going to grow anything now because now it's time to focus on my healing and all the things. So that was the biggest gift that it gave me. And it also alchemized a lot of blocks I had with key relationships I had at the time, like with my
Wow.
family, with my partner, with, things that, again, I knew what I had to do. I knew, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get
Mm.
there. And so when Bobby came, literally all the relationships around me, because they also got woken up by this morality issue with me, it all melted away. So with my mother, with my brother, with my partner, all the things that were sort of like holding us back, it was something there because I wanted to connect with my
Wow.
brother more, but I couldn't really know how to. And I was a little bit, like there's a bit of pride and he's younger than me and, all the things. So there was that with my mother and I, we always have these frictiony moments and she gets all fiery and she's in that generation where it's like, are you making enough money? How are you surviving?
Can you eat food? Can you feed yourself?
I'm 45. I'm a mum. It's like I'm good, So, and then there was dynamics with my partner at home. So it's like when Bobby came, it just melted away.
Wow.
And so, obviously now, so I had my surgery. I had a double mastectomy. Had decided to get rid of both my breasts.
Wow.
Relationship with my body. I literally also had moments of learning where I really said to my body, you know what to do from here. Like mind,
Mm.
it's not a mind thing anymore. I can't control nothing. You're way more intelligent. You know what you need to do. Teamwork, team body. You're now on the field. We see
Yeah, wow.
all and everything to you. And there was also 24 hours I had on fentanyl in ICU,
Oh my God.
major surgery like that. So essentially, I had both my breasts removed, and I had what they can do now is reconstructed breasts using fat from your tummy.
Wow.
I'm getting it at a tummy tuck and at the same time.
Again, loving the silver lining here. Yes.
Yeah, right. So, um, but it was a big surgery, 12 hours.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Surgeons, very heavy, pretty much put under a body coma to get all the stuff done. So then I was on ICU for a couple of days and I was on the fentanyl button for 24 hours, and so when I went to, and fentanyl is one of those, it's a horrible drug, but it does get you to an altered state of consciousness. I don't say recommend everyone go on fentanyl, go get some, but there is chemical ways to get you into that altered state of, theta.
Mm.
I was 24 hours on fentanyl and I had such a lovely experience where I could actually disassociate from my conscious mind and my subconscious, and they were having conversations and I was just the audience, just observing them both having conversations of a same event, train of events,
Wow.
but from a conscious mind perspective and from a subconscious perspective to interpret exactly what was happening. And I found that just amazing. It expanded my awareness of body, mind, everything. And yeah, so I guess, coming out of that process, had my checkup, no cancer spread, it was all clear. And so
Wow. Congratulations. We need to celebrate this.
it's like, it was like, did it? So that's 6 months ago since I had the surgery. And
Wow.
it's like, did that just happen? Did it happen? It
Mm.
doesn't feel like it happened. It came in and it came out.
Wow. Yeah.
Just like I said, a moment in time.
Mm.
So now when I'm back to building business again, it's from a very different place. I don't
Yeah.
have that fear of being seen or heard. I actually don't give a F anymore, like about what people think and feel about me or say about me, because I don't need it. Like that's gone.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
alcohol. So I thank Bobby for Bobby's arrival and the peace
Mm.
that it's provided, and here I am. So I'm creating from a more balanced, calm place, and something that comes from that strong foundation has a lot more legs and sustainability than anything else. So I was going then down that hustle, 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 do, build, da da da, and now this is gentle unfolding one step at a
Mm.
time. It's such a different way to be and a different way to grow something.
I'm just so fascinated by how quickly you were able to get there. It's interesting, often when we have big life events, it is not until years later that we can actually see the lesson or feel the lesson or, take the good out of it. But I love how, like you said, within 24 hours, the whole mindset shifted. You realized why it was here. You realized it was a moment in time. Sure, there were probably going to be some shit things that you had to go through, but that you leveraged it straight away to repair relationships, create a new direction for your business. The speed at which reconciled, such a huge event is just incredible.
Thank you. I've had that said a lot. That's the way I work. I go boom,
Mm.
boom. So I've been told that I work what is it? I work at the speed of light while standing still. And I guess the reason is because my purpose is to help share through lived experience what I know and learn to help others navigate in their faster way. I don't believe people need to have the 7 years that I took to get to my area where I am,
Mm.
because I did it randomly and it needed time for me to do that. But in
Mm.
now, with the things I know, we don't need 7 years. So
Yeah.
um, it's really, I have stuff to learn and impart, and that's why I've got no time to wait 2 years for the revelations. Like I've read the book, right? Let's move on to the next book.
Yeah. I love that. But, and it is interesting. I think sometimes people think things have to take time. There has to be a certain like stages that you go through, growth that you see, like setbacks, all the things. But it's like, no, if you want to be there, it is actually your choice to be there. And if you want to collapse time and make it happen now, again, totally within your control.
Yes, and that's where we're working with the quantum field, like
Mm.
that beautiful quantum field where there's no concept of time or space. Time is a man-made construct, like human man-made. In the quantum, everything is past, future, current, all at once. There is no limitations, infinite possibilities. And so,
Mm.
if you look at the way in which we only know zero point 0 whatever percent of known matter from what we can see, feel, and touch in the whole universe. The rest is just blackness,
Mm.
nothingness. But it's not nothingness. It's where everything creates. So
Mm.
it's like our mind, our conscious mind only knows like what we know from this little mini life
Yeah.
as this person. And but the soul and the subconscious knows all the lives we've ever lived. Now, obviously, you got to
Mm.
subscribe to the value system that you have past lives. If you don't, then that's fine. But for everyone else who believes that there's more to you than this body and this life, all the other yous, where does that all reside? It's in that subconscious part of us. It's in the ether.
Mm.
And so, we can go into so many metaphysical conversations that will blow people's minds, but it is true. It is about being aware and making a conscious decision. That's it. Now, of course,
Mm.
sometimes you make a conscious decision to shift something and you really want to, but you still can't get there. And that's why we've got to work in that beautiful, juicy, quantum space. So, yeah, there's so many possibilities in this. And I feel like also telling this story is a physical manifestation and showing people that
Mm.
transformational things can happen and things can shift. So, being so dramatic, being an economist to an energy healer is possible. So, if that is possible, what is your possible? You know,
Mm. I love it on so many levels. I love what is your possible. But even, going back to, making that conscious decision. And then even when you do, sometimes there is that block. I guess that's why people like you exist, right? Because sometimes we need a hand, sometimes we need help. And that is totally okay because sometimes we don't know the things that are holding us back. And we do need somebody to kind of hold our hand and guide us through that process and of figuring out what it is so that we can make that decision, but then actually have it come to life.
yeah, that's right. This is not something you can learn by studying. You need to
Mm.
embody it and have somebody who's walked it before to walk with you. You got to get in the ring. Like this stuff is harder than going to the gym, lifting weights or, running a marathon. This internal, personal, transformational work is really important and no one can do it except you. And I guess, to shorten time, you could do it with people that you trust and you feel have credibility. And who's got credibility? People who've walked it before you. So
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why I have all these calamities and epic things that happen in my life, because they're learning moments that I can then alchemize into lessons and teachings and experiences for people so they can find their possible.
Mm. And isn't it like wild one of the things you were talking about at the beginning was that fear of being seen and heard, and how this is the thing you're going, no, fuck it. I'm here and this is what I have to say. But also how powerful that it's like exactly what you said. It's given other people the ability to see what is possible. If this is possible for me, it's possible for you. So, you know, the experience has also amplified your work as well. It's just, yeah, it's wild.
No. I mean, I used to lament going, why do I have such a, snakes and ladders life and career? I build and then it crumbles. I build, it's happened 9 times. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
why? I'm tired. I want to build my thing and then just, enjoy. But no.
Mm,
So in a session I had where I tapped into my subconscious part of me, I asked that question. And the
mm,
answer was, well, really, the experience was I was soil. I was the earth. And because I kept on smelling soil, I'm like, why am I smelling soil? you know, I was in this scene where I was the earth, and with
wow.
the earth is creation. Things go into the earth to be created. Seeds, animals make homes, they create in the earth. And so the earth essentially is like a container or an environment for creation of things. And the earth doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't do anything. And the
Mm,
other idea of, so it meant that for me, the message was you don't need to do, you just,
mm,
the earth just bees. It doesn't have to do anything, it's there. And what happens is, with all the experiences you've ever lived and all the ups and downs and the big growths and the big falls, they compost into experiences that makes the earth more fertile,
wow. Yep.
new things for people. And so then I
Mm,
was like, wow, I now accept my path. I get it now, right? So this is the thing. Like I would never have had a psychologist tell me that sort of revelation that then I would get it.
yeah.
Because
Yep.
you're in that altered state, not only do you hear it, but your bodies and your cells in your body, they hear it.
Yeah. Oh, and that's interesting in and of itself. How many times you have somebody give you feedback, you watch a course, you hear this, you go to therapy, you do the things, you will literally get the same message 100 times and not hear it. Sometimes it does take a more, I guess, impactful experience for your body and your mind and your spirit to actually wake up and hear the message.
And then when you hear it, that's when you can move on.
Yeah.
And the block just melts away. That's
Mm.
spontaneous, and that's the beautiful, magical thing that I see because I am still very outcome orientated. I'm not here just to have a nice experience. You can get a nice meditation elsewhere, but when
Yeah.
we're back together, it's like, what is it that you really want to shift? And being the
Mm,
economist diary person, I'm like, let's go find the answers for you.
yeah.
And so yeah, this is such a beautiful process. And I can only do this work now. If I did it in my 20s, I wouldn't
Mm,
have the richness of my soil from the experiences of life. And why am I from a corporate world background into this world? It's so that I can be relatable to corporate people.
yes.
So, because, a lot of people still go, oh, it's a bit woo. I don't understand it. They feel scared.
Mm,
But they're not that far to go to Mullumbimby or Byron Bay and eat dal and walk the
yeah.
grass barefoot. That's
Yeah.
too much for them. I mean, I'm not saying
Mm,
I'm that I can do that too now, but there's still steps that people need to feel comfortable to sort of get out of the mind because the mind is like
yeah.
so judgy. It's so like, what are you doing that for? That seems a bit like whatever.
It's so true though, isn't it? It's so true. But and I just love as well that you said that because I think oftentimes as we go through different experiences in life, we do have that self-judgment of like, what was, that was a waste of time. Like, oh my God, that failure or that career pivot or that this or that. And like you say, the judgy mind, she's awful sometimes. But you're so right. It does color where we're able to serve from, no matter what business you're in. It is that collection of experiences that allows you to do whatever it is you're doing for your community or your customers or your people.
Yeah, yeah. That's why that's like this work has to be done now.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
and there's a lot of women who are sort of, I guess, waking up as well to what they can contribute because, and also men too. Like they men have a different experience in the sense that they feel the burden of having to be everything to everyone and to
Mm,
provide and to protect. And for them, they're feeling a lot of the stress, but unfortunately, they don't have that release valve that, women are naturally, they're more open to this sort of stuff. Men are getting there
mm.
slowly, just like I'll still talk about the same stuff and slowly they'll come around, but there's a lot of fear around doing things differently because they know it so
Mm,
well. And I know
yeah.
that fear because yes, it's hard, yes, I hate it, but I know it, so it's easier, but it's not easier. um,
Mm.
it's not easier at all. There's better ways.
Yeah, exactly. There are better ways. I love this so much. I could talk to you all day, seriously. But I always love to wrap up this podcast, and I'm going to ask it to you again. I know you answered it a year ago, but I'm interested if the answer's changed. Reflecting on I'm going to say not just business, but life at the minute. What would be a piece of advice you would give to another woman on her business journey?
Oh gosh. See, my analytical brain already compartmentalizes and goes, okay, it depends on the angle that you're thinking. But then if I just shut the brain and go, I think what's coming up for me is for any woman who's listening to this, um, it's time to reconnect with you. And once you do that, it unfolds a lot of things. So you are more than what you think you are, and there is more to life than how you're doing your thing, and you know it. You know it. It's all inside. And I used to get frustrated, go, everything's inside of you. You hear that a lot. Everything's inside of you. You already know the answers. I'm like, but yes, I know, but how do I get? So I mean, I'm saying it now. Everything's inside of you. It's
Yeah.
true. It really is true. Now
Mm,
just find ways to get to know you again. Get to re-know yourself because you're more than what you think you are.
mm.
And you don't actually have to be anything else to be valuable and loved. You are valuable and lovable just the way you are. And I know the mind's like, yeah, yeah, whatever. But I've got my bills and I've got my children, I've got my partner, I've got my responsibility, my parents, blah, 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 blah. Yes. But returning to you, there's just like a whole bunch of things that we could do just to return to you. And when you return to you, you're clear, you're confident, you're peaceful, you're calm. And when whatever you do from that, it never feels tiring. and life is just joy and full of synchronicities and fun and joy.
Oh my God, you are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for coming back on the podcast for round two. I want to check in with you in another 12 months to see
Okay.
how life is going, because there's just always so much truth and wisdom and, nuggets of wisdom for our community. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me again. And yes, let's chat again in a year's time and see what happens then. Maybe I'll be levitating. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my God. That wraps another episode of Spark TV. Shout out to Spark TV sponsor IP Australia for their amazing support of the Spark podcast and women in business. And if no one tells you today, you've got this.